Welcome back everybody. So last episode we checked out gaming PCs on eBay. Gaming PCs from, not Dell, not Best Buy or, those places that sell them, but from people like you and me. There's people all over the place building computers and selling them for what they think is a reasonable price. Of course, you have to factor in how much was spent on parts to build the PC, how much you want in profit, and many other things, shipping, warranty, if there is any warranty. Anyway, in this episode, we're gonna check out gaming PCs on Craigslist. Now, Craigslist, you can make a good purchase on Craigslist, yes, but there's also that chance that you might get ripped off, that the image or the item listed may not be as good as it looks in the images. That's actually what I'm expecting in this video. I'm expecting some pictures to look pretty good, but to have false information or just misleading information, a misleading title for computers that are like 5, 6, 7 years old, and just an overall waste of time and money for the consumer. But of course, someone who's new into computers wouldn't really know that. So if you're new to computers and if you're here because of the last video, tell me in the comment section below. Also, tell me where you bought a PC or a laptop, if you bought it on eBay, Craigslist, Amazon, and what your experience was like. I want to know. Alright, so let's switch camera angles to the computer and let's check out some gaming PCs on Craigslist. So we're going to search for gaming PCs on Craigslist, and of course there's a whole bunch of them. Let's take a look at the first one, $750 or best offer. Let's see what it says here. Selling custom gaming PC with the following specs: i7 4790K, which isn't bad. GTX Titan X 12 gig, 600 watt power supply, 16 gigs of DDR3 memory at 1600 megahertz, 120 gig SSD, and a 500 gig hard drive. Windows 10 Pro. You see, one of the negatives here is that the pictures, can we see a picture of the outside? This looks like the stock cooler, but I'm not sure if that processor comes with a stock cooler. But either way, it's probably not very good, especially if you want to overclock. These memory modules don't look very attractive. They don't have the heat sinks. That doesn't affect performance, but someone who wants to get a good looking system is probably not going to be too happy with these. The only thing that looks decent here is the GeForce GTX right there. It lights up, and the power supply is a decent one. I believe it's Corsair, and of course they show a picture with the specifications. How much is the Titan? So the Titan X is a decent card, but it's a little bit outdated. I mean, you could still use it and still game on it. It's still a good card for the games, but you could tell this computer has been around for some years. I mean, the processor is pretty old compared to the new ones, and the graphics card as well. So I'm assuming this computer was over $1,000 when those parts were new, but $750 now, I'm not even sure if that's going to be worth it. Sure, you could get a better cooler and overclock the processor, but even then, will this processor and graphics card combination get better performance than, say, an i5 and a GTX 1060? I wouldn't know because I haven't tested them, but it's something to think about. Let's look at this one right next to it. $465. It's from CyberPowePC, but it's a person selling it. $465 is the price, which is, it's competing with consoles. I mean, it's still a little bit more than PS4 and Xbox One, but it's around there. And this seems to be a trend with these AMD FX 4350, those FX processors. They're cheap and they could perform, but they are old, and I'm not so sure if they could perform now. 8 gigs of RAM, Radeon RX 470, 1TB hard drive. Does not have an SSD. Radeon RX 470. Decent card from what I can see, but it's the processor that's kind of old. I mean, for the price, it's not too bad. I mean, it's a different story once you test it and all that stuff, but it doesn't look too bad at first glance. So this one would be a maybe, but for the processor, I would still say you're paying a little bit more than you should. Alright, now this one. First of all, if you're selling on anywhere, eBay, Craigslist, whatever, make sure you get, your grammar correct, have some capitals there, capitalized PC. It shows people that you sort of care. So this has a Ryzen 5 1600X, so far so good. It says it's for streaming, so that is pretty good. Motherboard, ASRock B350 Pro 4, EVGA GTX 1060, Ballistic Sports 16 gigs, 2400, 120 gig SSD plus a 1TB hard drive, and a case is from Thermaltake. Do they show the full picture of the case? Because only 2 pictures are full size, the other 2 are tiny. Either way, $900 for this. It might be a tough sell, because although this is a good system, Ryzen 5 1600X, it's not the newest one. I think it came out 2 years ago already. Okay, so brand new, it's $160. A GTX 1060, which one's the SSC one? Let's assume it's the 6 gig, which is on average around $260, brand new. And then the motherboard, $75. Those are the core components: the processor, the motherboard, and the GPU. All the other stuff, I mean, you could add $100 for RAM. I mean, even that's what, 80 around there? $70 for RAM.
$70 for RAM. So that's $565 right there. How much is this person charging? $900. The case is not over $100. The storage and the, I mean, like the SSD and the 1TB hard drive, that's not gonna be too expensive either. So this is, and it doesn't come with any accessories, no keyboard, no mouse. I mean, it has a picture of a microphone right there, but it doesn't say anywhere if it comes with any accessories, so I'm assuming it doesn't come with any. So for just the computer, and from the looks of it, I mean, it looks pretty new. Maybe used, slightly used, and it is an older processor, so it might be used. But paying that much for this, it's not worth it. You could build a much newer and better system with this amount of money. And that seems to be a trend. They're using older parts and selling it for more. I don't think this person's trying to trick someone who's barely getting into PC gaming or streaming. I just think they're just overpricing their stuff. Okay, let's play this one. Not play, let's take a look at this one. Gaming PC i7 water cooled, plays any games on high, $550. If it plays any games on high for $550, that's a pretty good deal. I'm pretty sure that means it plays games better than a PS4 and Xbox One. I'm not talking about the PS4 Pro or Xbox One X. I believe those play games at like medium. Depending, like GTA, it would be the equivalent to like medium settings, right? Medium and high. So if this plays any game on high, what game is this? Of course they're using Fortnite. Fortnite's not a hard game to run. All items are in perfect condition. Benchmarked a couple games on max settings, Fortnite and Call of Duty Black Ops 4. So we'll play other games on smooth like PUBG, Overwatch. We'll have Windows 10 Pro. The CPU and motherboard alone is priced for $300 used on eBay. Has a lot of room for upgrades if you want to in the future. So it has an i7 4770, 3.4 GHz, H90 CPU water cooler. It's a 120mm radiator, which isn't bad, pretty good. 8 gigs HyperX Black RAM, one stick of 8 gig, so only one of those is occupied. Z87 MSI M-Power motherboard, 700 watt Corsair power supply, that's a little overkill. 120 gig SSD and a 500 gig hard drive. XFX R9 380 4 gig graphics card. DIY PC GameStorm case. Alright, for $550 this actually doesn't look that bad. I mean, you have a couple cables here, but that's no big deal. You could change that yourself. As long as everything's taken care of, you should have no problem. You could tell this guy's a gamer because he has this thing. What is it, Sonic? I actually have no idea. I'm willing to trade for computer parts too. Price is negotiable. Can deliver if not too far. 1080 Ti, 2700X Ryzen, Intel RTX, 2080 Ti. Nobody's gonna trade for a 2080 Ti. The only thing is that the processor is a little bit old. Once again, it's a 4770. It's not the K version, so, or at least it doesn't say, so I'm assuming you can't overclock it. In that case, this cooler is perfectly fine. You can add some RAM and you could upgrade the graphics card, but that would cost more money upgrading. Let's see if they're telling the truth here. Intel Core. Okay, so the Intel Core 4770, the i7, the one they're using, is about 137, 140 pre-owned. Okay, so about 140. Okay, so they are telling the truth. This motherboard is pretty expensive, so about $300 for both the CPU and the motherboard. And they're accepting offers. So this is one system that's actually placed or priced decently. $550, negotiable. You could bring it down if you have the money with you, and if you're there, he'll probably accept $500. I'm assuming it's a he. Or you could trade in one of these processors plus cash or something. Yeah, so far this is like the only system that's decently priced. I'm looking for a system that says, you know, something like this, complete must see. Like, come on, let's take a look at it. It looks nice so far so good. Pictures look great, cable management looks spot on. The monitor, I don't know if it comes with a monitor, I haven't read anything. Comes with speakers as well, apparently. Alright, I have a gaming PC up for sale, just had a newborn baby and won't have time to utilize it anymore. Will be using my laptop more frequently. Fantex P400 case, Asus M5A97, I don't know what exact model that is. Here we go, AMD FX 8350, that's an old processor, 8 core. I believe there was something false about them naming it 8 core, but I don't remember what it was. GTX 1070 for the win, okay, that's good. 256 gig SSD, Corsair Vengeance DDR4, 8 gigs, 3000 megahertz. Would have been better if it was 16. Okay, power supply is good. H100 iCPU water cooler, that's good. Windows 10 Pro and braided CPU connectors, that's good. And they also include a 27-inch monitor and Altec Lansing speakers. For how much? $1,400. The only red flag here would be the AMD FX 8350 processor, and along with that would be the motherboard. If this had like an i5, that would be an acceptable price. An i5 processor with that GPU plus a monitor and some speakers. I'm assuming they're also going to give you the keyboard and mouse, right? Maybe even the headset, because everything looks good. The only thing is I'm not sure how the AMD FX 8350 is going to perform with the newer games. We all know the graphics card can handle some good gaming. My computer actually has a GTX 1070 and it performs very well. Keep in in mind that this system is used, and let's look at the processor. $73 for this processor. And the black edition's $100, and it's used, so you know, knock a couple dollars off of that. Probably could even slash half the price. So let's say $50 for the processor. The motherboard, $60. So what? Say $40 for it. $40 for the motherboard. Man, that's gonna be a tough sell. That's less than $100 for the motherboard and processor alone. The GTX 1070, that's like $300. They've been going down in price, but since this one's used, it's gonna be like $300. So not even $400, and you have already your core components. The storage, power supply, cooler, all that stuff is not gonna be worth $600. Plus the monitor and speakers are not gonna be worth total $1,000. So this one's a little bit more expensive than I thought it was gonna be. I mean, the money you're losing is gonna be more than I thought you would be, because this computer looks good, but looks are deceiving. Under that cooler is not a very good processor, and it's not a very good motherboard. I mean, they're outdated. They were good back in the day, but now don't think they would be very good. So yeah, you're way overpaying for this one, which is tough because it looks really good, and the monitor looks good too. Let's take a look at one more high-end gaming PC. So far, pictures look good. Yeah, so far everything looks good. We've got multiple drives here. For sale, a custom-built gaming PC, perfect, like new condition, less than 6 months old. If interested, read on. Motherboard, Asus ATX DDR3 2600, has the LGA 1150 socket, Core i7 4790K, graphics card, 1080 Ti, whoa, 16 gigs of DDR3, not DDR4. That's how you know it's kind of old, also with the processor, a couple years old. 1TB hard drive, plus a 120 gig SSD, and slots for 2 more hard drives, total of 4. So it only comes with 2 drives, 1 SSD and 1 hard drive disk. Case with RGB fans, 5 fans in total, has a 120mm liquid cooler, 120mm liquid cooler, and a 750 watt power supply, 80 plus bronze modular. Okay, so we have some good cable management. How much? $1,600. Yeah, this one, it's a little too much. Well, actually, let's take a look at something. It's like new, and the 1080 Ti is still very expensive. Okay, I take that back. Still relatively new. The computer's only 6 months old. The graphics card, it's the thing that's worth the most here. $1,000. The processor, it's a couple of years old, but it could still perform, and with the graphics card like that, actually I worry it might bottleneck, but I don't think that should be an issue. And it's the K version, so you could overclock it. Interesting. Doesn't say it comes with a monitor or anything. It just comes with Windows 10 Home. No keyboard, no mouse. It's not horribly priced. If you're building this system new, I could see it being this price, but since it's used, you could possibly knock down a couple $100 since it's used. And maybe if this person accepts offers, you could knock it down a couple $100 more. But paying $1,600 for it might be a little much, a little too much. But it wasn't a bad computer, not a bad price. I want to take a look at this one because I'm already getting a couple of red flags just by looking at the picture. Not so much with the computer. I mean, the case looks outdated, really outdated. But look at the background here. Everything looks like a mess. If you're buying this computer, you want someone that's going to take care of it. You want to buy it from someone who's been taking care of it. This one doesn't look like it's been taken very well care of. Or at least like the owner doesn't really care. Custom gaming PC, awesome for gaming, 1080p, high FPS, work and school. Not so sure about the 1080p high FPS unless it's at low settings. You could play at 1080p but with low settings. Once again, this processor right here, 8320, 16 gigs of RAM, 1050 Ti equivalent. Is it though? It has 3 gigs. The 1050 Ti has 4, doesn't it? And it's newer. Yeah, the 1050 Ti has 4 gigs. This one's older and it has 3 gigs. I don't think it's the 1050 Ti equivalent. Maybe the 1050, but not the Ti. Wi-Fi adapter, 450 watt 80 plus bronze power supply. Installed Fortnite, CSGO, The Witcher 3, and Darksiders 3. Include a 22-inch Samsung display, Lenovo keyboard and mouse. Pickup only, the Dell 400 or trade for Nintendo Switch, PS4 Pro, Xbox One X, Surface Pro 4, iPad Pro, Samsung. But for the performance you're getting off of this computer isn't really that good. I could see it costing $300 or less. It does come with a bit of games, and it has a 22-inch monitor. Okay, but there's no pictures of the monitor, so we don't know what we're getting. If you're trading one of these items, you're doing it wrong. If you're gonna buy this, you have to make an offer because it's not worth the $400. And that's where I'm gonna finish the video, guys. Please make sure to leave a like, a comment down below, and consider subscribing. Tell me in the comment section below what do you think of these videos, and if you've ever bought something on Craigslist. I'll see you in the next video.